Today on Speak Up, we have a very special program planned just for you. We have with us artist of property, C.G. Morehead. Now, Mr. Morehead, I know you're probably most famous now. Of course, you were famous to all of us before for the peanut butter painting. But, Mr. Morehead, why did you decide to paint with peanut butter?
Well, you know, Pam, I'm just tickled to death you asked me that question.
I know I'm not going to be able to shut you up now.
You know, it all started right here in Henderson. And it started back several years ago when the Chamber of Commerce, the Henderson Audubon Chamber of Commerce, had their annual banquet. And Jimmy Carter, who was then a candidate, was their after-dinner speaker. But, you know, I'd heard so much about peanuts and peanut butter and the Peanut Express all throughout the campaign of Jimmy Carter and throughout the inauguration. And one day I just got the idea that I would try to do a painting with peanut butter. So I mentioned this to my wife, and she kind of looked down at the floor and never did answer me. But the following day, I went over to the grocery store, and I began to go through all the shelves there and trying to find a peanut butter that was rich and creamy and the one that had good oil on it. And finally, I found one. And, you know, Pam, it happened to be the one that choosy mothers choose. They call it Jif. And I put some of it on my artist's palette, and I got some oil color, and I put 5 times as much peanut butter as I did color. And I began to mix these together with my palette knife, and immediately I could tell that they were just mixing beautifully. It just looked like it was homogenized. The colors were just as rich and bright and brilliant as they could be. Now, you may ask the question of why would you want to add peanut butter to oil color? The reason I added it was so that I could do a heavy textured palette knife type painting. In other words, a painting with the third dimension. And it was the oil in the peanut butter that was substituting for linseed oil in painting. It was this oil in the peanut butter that was keeping the colors so rich and brilliant and bright. Well, after I saw how easy that it was going to mix, the next thing was to see if I could actually do a painting with it, if I could put it on a canvas. And you know, artists like to be different. They like to be creative. They like to do something that other artists haven't done. And so I decided that I would do this painting without the use of a paintbrush. And I got some popsicle sticks, and I cut them and made different sizes, made little tools out of them. And with popsicle sticks and Q-tips and pipe cleaners, I did this painting with the peanut butter, a heavy textured type painting. It only took a couple of days to do it. But Pam, the one thing I didn't know was that painting with peanut butter, it dries real slow. It took 2 months for that painting to dry. And then I got the idea, well, you know, wouldn't it be nice if we could auction this off for charity and let all the money go to some charitable organization? And then I thought, well, it would bring a much higher price if we could get President Jimmy Carter to sign it, because after all, that's where I got the whole idea, was from President Carter. So I got in touch with President Carter through Senator Wendell Ford. An appointment was set up, and I went to the White House, and he was so nice, and he signed the peanut butter painting. And then he said, let me tell you all a story. And there were quite a few people there that day, and this was covered nationally by 3 TV networks and by radio and newspaper. And he said, let me tell you, he said, when I was out campaigning, he said, the good people of Henderson, Kentucky, asked me to be their speaker for their Chamber of Commerce dinner. And said, after I finished my talk, well, they presented me with a couple of Moose's paintings. Now, Moose is my nickname. And when the president starts calling you by your nickname, you know you're beginning to get someplace. And you know, I could go on and tell you all the funny things that happened there that day. But I must tell you, Pam, about a few of the sayings that came from this. You know, it was, as I say, covered nationally on television. But I know that one TV station said something about, this idea Morehead has of painting with peanut butter is a nutty idea, but he hopes it will spread. And then somebody came along with the thing, and they said, well, after all, a painting with peanut butter, if you don't like it, you can eat it. And then someone said, well, it's just a matter of taste. So that is, art is just a matter of taste. So on October the 15th, the painting was put up for sale at public auction. There were quite a few people that attended the auction. It was handled by the Kurtz Auction Company, and everybody that participated in it did it free of charge. The painting brought $10,500, and all the money went to Green River Comprehensive Care. And I was delighted that this charitable organization received the money and the painting, and that's the reason I'm here today.